Alright, so now we're going to talk about transition metal ions. Your topic is transition ions. Your goal: I can write and name ionic compounds with transition metals. So ionic compounds that contain transition metals, they're a little bit different than all the others. Many transition metals have more than one ionic possibility. The following elements are the elements that have more than one, that is CO, Cr, Cu, Fe, Mn, Hg, Sn, and Pd. So those are the most common ones, basically saying that there's a possibility of more than one different charge. You can't just look at the periodic table and figure out what the charge is. So when naming these ions, you must include the Roman numeral that equals the charge of the ion. You don't have to put a positive sign because all transition metals have a positive charge. So how to name ionic compounds or ionic bonds that have transition metals? You have to include the Roman numeral, and the rest of the naming is the same that we've been doing. And I'm going to do some examples. We'll go from the formula to the name, whereas instead of the name from the formula. And we didn't do this in chemistry 1. I just kind of gave you the charge, but here I want to show you guys how you can find the charge of the element itself. So first, you see which element is a transition metal, if it is one, and it'll always be that first element. And then, so in this case, it is cobalt. So we know that we'll need to include a Roman numeral since cobalt is a transition metal. So the basic name we know will be cobalt, and then whatever the charge is, and then oxide based on the CO2O3. So to find the charge of cobalt, use the other element as a key. Oxygen, we know, has a charge of -2, and there's 3 of them. So 2 times -2 times 3 is -6. So we know cobalt needs to equal 6. So there's 2 there. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we know that the charge of cobalt is going to be 3. So you'll put cobalt and then the Roman numeral 3, oxide. I am going to do some examples of this as well to help you guys get used to figuring out what the charge is going to be and how to name it. Alright, so today I'm going to do some examples of transition metals, ionic bonds containing transition metals. First, I'm going to go with how we go from the name to the compound. Alright, so if I write out the name, iron 3 sulfide. So this Roman numeral will tell you what the charge is, because if you look for iron here on your periodic table, iron is right here in the transition metal section. So we can't figure out what the charge is just by looking at that. That's why they give us the Roman numeral. So we write down iron, which is Fe. Since that is the Roman numeral for 3, it's going to be a +3 charge. Sulfide, it just ends in IDE, so that's just going to be your element sulfur. So you find sulfur on the periodic table. It's right here. It has a -2 charge. Then we crisscross. The 3 goes with the sulfur. The 2 goes with the iron. So that'll be Fe2S3. So if I do another example and give you nickel 2 phosphate. I wanted to do an example with the poly as well. So if we were to put nickel on the periodic table, it is a transition metal. So we know nickel. That's why the Roman numeral 2. So it's a nickel. You write 2 symbol. 2 tells you it does a plus an ion charge. We need phosphate. She does not end in DE. So we're to look at the poly right here. Find the PO phosphate minus. That's P. So we 4 with a P3, 4 with charge. 3 will write charge. 4 crisscross with a minus. That 3 go with the. Then we 4. So charge 3 goes 2 will go. So the PO4 and that 3 is with the P. I'll be in 4 and these O parentheses 2. I'm going to talk about you figure out what the so now what is how you off the route. Now this name little different base because we can't find the chart is a on its periodic table. Just we have to charge how to work on the periods to find the table of the trend to know how backward. We do charge in position metal B also for 2 M. So for you kind of just like the main thing is man. First you can go ahead and out type that out. Manganese. We know manganese is a transition. So we're going to know Roman numerals of whatever metal it is, and then beneath are an IDE charge. So you'll do bromide ends for bromine. So the way you can do find what the charge for manganese is do a little on the math first. For find B on the periodic table. Here it has a -1 charge, and you multiply it by however many you have. So -1 times 2 is just -2. And then whatever this is, this will be the same number, just opposite. So this will be a +2. So a 2 is what goes in that blank. So that would be manganese 2 bromide. Alright, so another example, we'll do CuS. Well, Cu, we found on the periodic table, is copper, and it's a transition metal. So we need that Roman numeral, but we don't know what it is yet. And then S is just sulfur, so we would do sulfide because it needs to end in IDE. So now we need to figure out what number goes with copper. So sulfur, if you look on the periodic table, has a -2 charge, and right here there's only 1. So 1 times -2 is -2. Since that's -2, this needs to be a +2 to make it equal to 7. So that will be copper to sulfide. If you need more examples or need me to go through any other questions about this, let me know, and I can work some more problems out for you. In your digital notebook, you will need to you have 2 slides of practice. The first one is the compound and you write the name. Second one is the name and you write down the compound.